Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Beyond Boardroom Business. I'm your host, Coach Stephanie. And tonight, wow, make sure you have your friends, your family, your neighbors. Make sure you share this information because tonight's Trailblazer has an amazing story to tell. Not only is she a cosmetologist, she's a best-selling author, and she is here to help women and men, help whomever. I'm going to let her talk about who she is and what she does. But I am here to say that she is truly an amazing woman. And without further ado, let's just pull up Miss Brigitte Williams. Greetings. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you? How's everyone doing out there today?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for being here.
You.
Your story is truly amazing. And I really appreciate you coming on my show tonight and sharing with us who you are. So, without further ado, can you tell us who is Brigitte Williams?
I sure can. Brigitte Williams is a native Jamaican. Um, Migrated to America in, I would say, about in the 90s, early 90s, as a young girl, and with my family. And from there, moved to Missouri. Don't ask me why. You know, that wasn't yeah, but we weren't there long, and then we moved to Florida, went to high school in Florida, uh, had my first child in Florida, moved to Georgia, pursued a career in cosmetology, and have done that for many years now. Actually, I was even a nail tech before I became, yes,
Okay.
before I became a cosmetologist. So I did that for 17 years, and then they
Wow.
end up overlapping, and so now I own my own salon. I have for many years, and I am also an author as well.
Wow. So, what got you started in the beauty field?
It's funny because when I was younger, I always had all this hair, and it was so thick and long, and I don't know if it's a Jamaican thing or island thing. My mom would always put a perm in my hair, but she would never let it sit in there long enough, and I just had this thing about, I just felt like my hair was this big. So I would, when she would go to work, she was a nurse, so she was always like not really away. I mean, not really home all the time. So in the morning, I would get up and put the hot comb on the stove and straighten my hair. So I just kind of developed a love for doing my hair. And as I got older and I moved to Georgia, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I truly love, that I can earn my money and still be happy and content, not feeling like I'm getting up and going to work to do something every day that I didn't want to do. And I
Yes.
gave, I started out with nails first, and then I went back to school and got my full cosmetology license. And it was from there, that's what I've been doing.
Wow. Wow. And so, tell me, how was your journey being an entrepreneur?
Being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. Obviously, you have to go through the whole building your
Mhm.
clientele, and you have to really have a passion for it, because if you don't, it's so easy to give up. And fortunately, I had someone in my corner that I can depend on while I was building my clientele. So that made it a little easier for me. Sometimes when you are by yourself, it's easy to give up, but it's definitely not hard. It has its ups and downs, but if you truly love it, it's rewarding if you stick to it.
That is so true. So you had a mentor? Is that what you're saying?
No, I meant like my husband, like
Oh,
you would have
wow.
someone to
Yes.
while you're building, because if, as a young
Yeah.
person, if you are out there on your own and you're, looking to build clientele and you're having to build it from scratch,
Yes.
you need that support, to pick up someone to help you pick up the slack. And I have to definitely give credit there, and that's why I say it's not easy, especially if you're doing it on your own.
That is so true. Wow, that's even more beautiful to have your spouse there supporting you,
Yes.
because it's a lot of entrepreneurs that have to do everything alone. And so to have
Absolutely.
someone that hear you out is
Can't say I
beautiful.
did it by myself. I
Yeah.
cannot say I did it by myself. But is it impossible? Absolutely not.
Wow. So how far do you take your cosmetology? What all do you do?
I do a little well, let me probably easier for me to say what I don't do. I don't do weaves, I don't do braids.
Okay.
I do natural hair in the respect of blow drying, trimming, keeping it healthy.
Okay.
I don't do like the lock
Okay.
extensions and twisting it, but relaxers, colors,
Mhm.
basically keeping your hair healthy.
Okay. So do you find natural styles coming back in style as opposed to perms, or what's going on with society?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are definitely moving towards embracing their natural hair now because we've all heard, especially as Black women, that the relaxers are not good, and
Oh,
um, I don't know. I feel like there could be some truth to that, but I can't say 100% whether. I think it all has to do with how your stylist takes care of your hair, and
um,
being honest with letting everybody's journey is different with that. So you just have to listen, have a good stylist, and listen to don't be at the house perming your hair yourself, coloring your hair yourself, because that all contributes to unhealthy hair. So it's just a matter. I think it's a personal thing in how someone they decide that they want to take care of their hair.
yeah, so it's definitely worth investing in having a professional take care of your hair as opposed to, as you said, doing it in your own kitchen because you don't have the knowledge that the professional has to keep your hair strong and vibrant. And so, yes, we appreciate people like you that help America beautiful. So,
And YouTube University sometimes help you out a lot, but you can't always depend on YouTube because if you're not using any chemicals or anything, you want to do a style or two, that's fine. But when it comes on to the chemical, respect the chemical.
that's so true. And beauty has a lot to do with self-esteem. So, your book, can you tell us about your book?
Okay. Yeah. I wrote a book called Start Where You Are.
Mm,
And this is it. It's called Start Where You Are. You can get it on Amazon. You can actually just Google my name and it'll pop up and it'll show you all the different places that you can purchase the book. But Start Where You Are is a book about my journey of becoming my true authentic self and being happy, finding myself because as a child, I went through a lot. As a young girl in Jamaica, and I just found that I buried a lot of things, and because of doing that, there were certain aspects of my life that where I was not happy. I went through depression. I still suffer from anxiety from time to time, and learning how to deal with that, and learning that burying things, unhealthy things like that, and learning how to talk about it and to be open about it, and knowing that as it wasn't your fault. So
yes.
once you kind of grasp the fact that that wasn't my fault, and you're carrying all this baggage around with you, but you're so weighed down from your past that you can't even muster up the energy to take a step in the right direction to be happy. And so this book is about me finally embracing what I went through and realizing that I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. and letting let's just letting all of that baggage go, and the journey that I took to get to where I am today.
Yeah.
Um, I'm still a work in progress. I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. My experience is from life. So
Mm.
I basically just wrote about the things that I went through as a young lady, and being with my significant other, and um, just realizing like something had to change,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, and some of those things was going through therapy, and being able to be honest with yourself, and just wanting to be true and authentic. And I wrote that book because I wanted to help others, because I wish when I was that age that
Yes.
someone would have, pulled me to the side and say, hey sis, let's talk about it. And it's such a taboo subject, that no one wants to talk about child abuse. No one wants to talk about sexual abuse. So once you get the courage to be able to talk about that and not feel the guilt and the shame that comes along with it, is very empowering. And I just would love to be able to share my story with the world, and to help other, and not just women, men as well. It's not just women that go through that. Yeah, and just wanting to empower others, and to so that they'll know, like, your past doesn't have to define your future. you know
Oh,
we we've heard that for so long, but you actually have to take action in that. You just cannot sit and keep stewing in it and just like say, woe is me, woe is me. You have to start looking at yourself as a survivor and not
yes.
victim. And once you get rid of that victim mentality, and truly begin to embrace who you're truly meant to be, I mean, it's euphoric.
Yes. So, how does a person know when they're carrying baggage?
Well, I think that if you're being truly honest with yourself, and you know what you've been through, and you have certain triggers that sometimes someone might say or do something that is not necessarily the problem at hand in that moment, but you've buried so much. There's so much up underneath that carpet, or wherever you buried it, that someone can just barely scratch that surface, and you're blowing up, and you're upset, and you're in your feelings, and you're like, when in truth and in fact, it's not even really
Right.
that actual current situation that is being taken so far out of context. It's all that other stuff that's up under there that you're not dealing with. And being able to recognize that how you respond to a situation when someone pushes your button, that is still your responsibility to react and handle that situation in a
Yes.
certain way, because it's your responsibility. It doesn't matter what someone else did. So you have to learn how to deal with those triggers and those things that upset you, and being knowing that it's not always, it doesn't have to be a big deal. So once you learn how to manage those feelings, and truly get into the root of why it is that you're so angry, and all of the baggage and the luggage that's under there that keeps allowing you to be triggered, you'll start to drop them. You'll start, leaving them behind, and knowing
Right.
that they're not your baggage. It's not your luggage to keep carrying. It's not your purpose to keep carrying that luggage around every day.
Yes. So, your book, which is Start Where You Are, tell us what inspired you to make the title that like that?
Because there was a time when I just felt like, well, let me backtrack a little bit. I started to write my memoir first, which I'm currently
Mhm.
working on. Um, it's a hard book to write, and so while I was in therapy, I decided, I've always felt like, okay, well, you're too old to change. Sometimes you feel like, you're at a certain age, and you're like, well, what difference am I going to make now? And you just kind of self doubt. You doubt yourself, and
Yeah.
and And then I just started one day, once I started going to therapy, and I was just like, I'm just going to start where I am.
Mm.
I'm starting where I started, where I was in making the choice to go to therapy and talk about my issues. And once I started reflecting and, gaining some introspection on my life and my feelings and how I felt, and I'm like, let me just write about it. So, and writing about it actually helped me a lot while I was writing the book. So
Yes.
not even just about, writing a book to say, okay, I wrote a book, I want to help someone. It also helped me tremendously. And I've read it, I've read it a couple of times. And each time I read it, even though I wrote it, I learned something new. And it kind of helps me to remember, you know, this is the journey that you're on then, and you need to continue, because not because, I went to therapy. I'm still in therapy. It does not mean that it's not a destination. It's a constant journey. It's constant work. So, the more you do something, the better you become at it.
That's so true. Wow. So, how do you know if you come across a great therapist or someone that's not rocking with you well?
Um, Definitely, it's a personal thing. I, my first one I had, I think, not to take anything away from her. I felt like she was a good therapist, and but it was just something that just wasn't clicking with me, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't find the connection, and I can't really put my finger on what it was, but I just knew that she wasn't for me.
And
Um, so I found another one, and it was like when you're able to speak to a therapist and sit down and have a conversation with someone, and you don't feel and it just comes natural and it flows. It feels right. You feel like you're talking to a friend that truly, that's truly understands, and like as if they were there with you, and they're not rushing you, they're not saying, oh, okay, well, you have to do this and you have to do this. You have to allow that person to come to a crossroads at their own time. I don't want to have a conversation with someone that's like, well, you shouldn't feel like, or you shouldn't.
yeah,
No, you can't tell me how to feel. you
that's it.
know my feelings are my feelings. And yeah, so I think it's a personal thing, like, you'll know.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point because it is. Everyone is different. And so just finding that happy medium where you, like you mentioned, that you feel comfortable revealing who you are so you can get to the root of the cause so you can cure it. So, as you mentioned, journaling, I mean, it is very therapeutic and it is helpful when it comes to writing a book. Is there anything else that you discovered with journaling, or you have any tips as to how to journal?
um Journaling, for me, um I found that there were times when I started to journal, and I would slack off, and I wouldn't do it. I tried to do it a couple times a week, whether it's on my phone, or whether it's actual. I prefer to actually write, and it's something about actually writing it down that works best for me.
Yes.
And I like to do it at night when my day is over with. And you can journal in the morning. You can make a journal to say, you know what, today's going to be a good day. It's going to be a positive day. I have this to take care of. I'll make my notes, and I write them down. And as the day goes through, I'm sorry, as the day go on, in my mind, I'm taking note of certain things. But at the end of the day, when I sit with myself and I reflect, and what could I have done better today? What did I allow to get to me that I should not have allowed myself to get that upset about? And I write it down. And when you go back and you read those things, and it's good to go back and read it, because it's almost like you're tracking your journey.
That's right.
You know, okay, so this is what happened that day that triggered. It's like you have to do better. You can't allow this person or that or this situation to get you down. And but yeah, for me, journaling is you don't have to do it every day. I do it a couple times a week, and I prefer to do it at night after I can sit down and reflect on my day.
Okay, okay. I like that. Yes. You create your own routine of how to get comfortable so you can get the things out of your head into the book or into your what
And
however you do it. Yeah. That's really
finding a
cool.
quiet place too is definitely like, you know, you want to find some time to spend by yourself and just
Mm,
decompress and and it doesn't have to be long.
that's true. That's right. I agree. It could be a few minutes or it could be hours just
Absolutely.
born, just receiving the download. So, fortunately, the silver lining and what you have gone through is that you were able to create a book. But can you tell us a little bit about your story? How long did you have to go through? You said child abuse or sexual abuse. Uh, can you give us a little, peep inside of what your struggles were and how you came over them?
Well, for me, my struggles started when I was 5.5, 6 years old. I My mother and my father, they weren't together, and when I went to live with them, I had two stepbrothers, and that's
Yes.
where that kind of and it was a lot of it was mental abuse too. So as a child, being taken away from your mother at a young age, basically I was thrust into this was beyond this was let me preference that she did not know that this was going to happen, and you guys will read all about it in my memoir. But it became a thing where I never saw my mom again for many years, and to the point where she didn't even know where I was.
Ooh,
So yeah, I was constantly threatened if I told anyone, and that this would happen to me, and and just being so young and vulnerable, and you're afraid. And
yeah.
actually, for many years while I went through my abuse, I became really recluse, and I didn't really talk a lot. I just was kind of like always watching and thinking, and and it's amazing how when you are put into a certain situation, even as young as I was very I was very intuitive because I didn't really talk a lot. So all I had time to do was just kind of watch. And the first time I decided to talk about it and to tell someone, I think I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, and the person, it was an older, they weren't old, but they were older than me.
Right.
And it was just kind of like a negative reaction, as far as it was just that whole, are you sure that's what happened? Or,
Wow.
so then that kind of caused me to shut down again.
Yeah.
And um, I have never spoken about the intimate details of what actually happened. I'm just like, well, this happened to me, and but all of that will be in my book. And yeah, so
Wow. So it really does make a difference who you share this information, especially the initial one, because that
mhm.
puts you right back into the abyss, and
Mhm.
wow. I'm glad that you overcame everything that happened to you and it made you stronger. I hate that you had to go through that.
Yeah.
And, it just makes me think of all the others that have to go through that as well. And I too have gone through experiences that made me more of an introvert. And I believe that I don't have any more baggage, but I don't know until, that time comes. But this is something that really affects a person's life for the rest of their life. And for you to not only overcome it, but write a book so you can help others, that's really, an amazing feat. So again, thank you
Thank you.
for being willing to stand up and talk about your experiences and what you have gone through, and to let people know that they are not alone and they too can survive. So that's really amazing. Are you going to write another book, or are you going to make a movie with this, or what are your plans with this book?
I definitely I'm hoping to be finished with my memoir. Have a lot going on right now, so I just need to buckle down and finish. I've started, I've written quite a bit already, but I still have a ways to go. But absolutely, if someone wants to, buy it as a movie, then that will be my ultimate goal as well. Because yeah, I sometimes I still get nervous. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'll be standing in front of the world naked, but it's my story. It's who I
Right.
am. I cannot be authentic and true to who I am, and I cannot go out here and help, other young women or young men who have been through abuse if I can't
Yes.
walk in my truth and and be strong in it. And I'm not saying that I don't have bad days. I'm not saying that, oh, I'm perfect or what. Absolutely. The more that I do on this walk, it also helps me to heal more and more every day as well.
Awesome. That's
There's a
beautiful.
time when I can talk about it without crying. So the fact that I can even talk about this right now and feel like, you know what, I feel good.
That's
It's like I said before, it's a euphoric feeling, and not to have that guilt and that shame and that stigmatism that goes with that type of stuff is like, it's not an easy thing to do.
Mhm. I know. So, what was the conversation you had with yourself when you decided, hey, I'm going to make this public? How did that come about? Because, like I said, a lot of people will just keep it to themselves and just is too embarrassed, or just don't want to open up, a part of their
No,
life.
I wanted my power back. And
Mm,
when it started off when my mother and my family and I reconnected. And
okay.
and I realized some things that I didn't even know that actually took place. And I said, at this point, I'm not looking for anyone to go to jail. I'm not looking for anyone. I just want my power back. I want to be truly happy with inside of me, and I want to stop hiding who I am. Or I want to, whoever Brigitte is meant to be, that's who I want to be. As if that
Mm,
whole situation never, obviously it happened, and I can't say as if it never happened, but whatever I was meant to be, that's what I want to be. And there's no way that I can continue to hold and hide all of that stuff if I want to truly be authentic in who I am. So I want my power back.
that's right. So, do you feel light that you've gotten it off? That no
Absolutely.
longer holding? Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel every day it gets even better every day. The more I talk about it, the more I even do more of, reflecting and more work. And sometimes the work that you have to do, it's hard because you are having to sit and talk with a stranger about your deepest darkest secrets, and to be able to get those emotions out, those anger, that shame, all that stuff out. So it's not an easy journey, but when you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that feeling that you get, and that a lot of things that I was afraid of before, I'm not
Mhm.
afraid of it anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely, I wouldn't. I wish I would have done it a long time ago.
That
Everything
part.
happens for a reason, and there's a time and a place for everything. So whatever, even though I started where I am and I'm a little later in age, I'm not old, but But this is something that absolutely could have been taken care of a long time ago, brought to the forefront a long time ago. But, you know, everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
That's
So
right.
I started where I am, and
That's
I
right.
from there moving forward, and I can't go anywhere but up from here.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Do you have any tips for anyone who is interested in writing about their life or trying to get past, something that came tragic or triumph? Do you have any tips or anything?
The tips that I would say, first of all, is to you have to find a comfortable, safe
Mhm.
ground to speak to someone, a professional that can help you navigate those waters and get out what you need to get out. And throughout that journey, journal, write about it.
Yes.
Sometimes we all know we go to therapy, and sometimes you could sit and you can talk for hours depending on the day, and we don't always have that time. It's like, oh, time to go. So whatever you don't get out in therapy, you write it down, and so next time you go back, you can talk about that, or you can address that issue. And but journaling and talking about it, creating a space where you can sit and actually reflect and think about who you want to be, who you aspire to, what you've always wanted to be, but you feel like, oh, who's going to take me serious? Who's going to listen to me? And get rid of those negative thoughts, and
Yeah.
start thinking more positive, and say it and believe, and eventually you'll believe it. Like, and you are stepping out into avenues that you never thought that you could have done. So you never know until you try. You just got to start where you are.
That is, that's it. The proof is in the pudding. Wow. So, so Bridget, this was beautiful. How can people find you?
Well, um, I have a website where you can purchase my book at walkinyouремpowerment.com. It still has a few more things that needs to be added, but the basis of it is there. I am
Awesome.
also on social media, Bridget Williams. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So yeah, those are ways that you can find me.
Wow, this has been an amazing episode. I really appreciate you sharing this time with me on this
I
show,
appreciate
and I would love for you to come back in a few months, and so we can follow up with you and see what's going on in your world, Bridget. Is that cool?
absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I mean, I am a book writing coach, and I love to hear people's stories, their inspiration behind writing a book. And yeah, so you make sure that you check out Miss Bridget Williams. I mean, again, start where you are. That is an amazing, profound statement. And that's the title of her book. Make sure you find her book. Go to her website, walkinyouремpowerment.com. I want to thank you all for sharing this time with me on Beyond Boardroom Business with your host, Coach Stephanie. And that's with two F's for feeling fabulous. And I appreciate you all just being here. And if you all have any questions, or you have someone that is a true trailblazer, an entrepreneur, someone that has a story to tell, please get at me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And until the next time, stay prayerful, stay powerful, and stay persistent. Thank you all. And I'll see you all next week. It's every week, 7 p.m., Thursday nights, Eastern Standard Time. Until the next time, take care. Peace.